Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. The event would start shortly. Please be informed to fill in the attendance form in the comment section. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's begin our session this morning with Kitab Al-Fatihah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Welcome to our program today entitled #Beware Cybercrime Webinar organized by the Media and Publication Bureau, Mahallah Fatimah Az-Zahra Representative Committee 2020-2021. I am Nadia Nurshifa binti Muhammad Nizam, a second year student from Kuliyyah of Allied Health Science, delighted to be your Master of Ceremony for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, to gain blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let us commence this ceremony with the recitation of dua led by Brother Muhammad Amirul Akmal bin Muhammad Nizam. Please welcome.
أعوذ بالله من المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى كلام الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولوالدينا وارحمهم كما ربنا صغارا والجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر ومن عذاب جهنم ومن فتنة المحيا والممات ومن شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. اللهم أحينا بالإيمان ومتنا بالإيمان واشرنا بالإيمان وادخلنا الجنة مع الإيمان بغير الحساب. يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك ولا طاعتك. اللهم بارك لنا في هذا المجلس. اللهم بارك لنا في هذا رمضان وبلغنا ليلة القدر. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin Amin Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Brother Amirul. Ladies and gentlemen, now let's proceed with the webinar session. For this webinar, we feel very honored as Associate Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi, Lecturer of Kuliyyah of Communication and Information Technology, and Inspector Clement Loh Wei Man, Investigation Officer, Police Cyber Investigation and Response Center from the Royal Malaysia Police, are here today to discuss how cybercrime could infect the society. And inshallah, we will have a short closing ceremony after the end of the webinar session. So now, without further ado, I pass the floor to Brother Muhammad Adib Hakimi to lead the slot. Please welcome.
Thank you, Sister Nadia, our Master of Ceremony for today's event. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good morning, I bid to everyone. I am Muhammad Adib Hakimi bin Sidik, second year of Applied Chemistry from Kuliyyah of Science IIUM Kuantan. Is delighted to be your moderator for today's session. First of all, I would like to welcome to all of you to the GEEKY TECHIE Mind #Beware Cybercrime Webinar. For today's webinar session, the topic is about cybercrime. So some of us maybe already know, and maybe some of us is still wondering what is cybercrime. So cybercrime is a criminal activity that either use a computer or a computer network or a network device. Usually, cybercrime is committed by cyber criminals, or we call as hackers, who want to take money. Further details regarding cybercrime will be explained by our panels later. So stay tuned until the end of this session. For today's webinar, the theme that was chosen is Into the Unknown. If we can understand from the topic, our discussion today with our two special guests will touch about nowadays cybercrime and what is the impact and implication of cybercrime towards citizens, especially in Malaysia. I think this topic is very crucial for us to learn and to know in order to avoid us from get involved in cybercrime. Before that, I will explain about the flow for today's session. The time allocated for this forum session is around hour and a half. I will ask the question to the panels, and the time allocated for the panels to answer the question is around 10 until 15 minutes. At the end of this session, we will have Q&A session. So for yearly reminder, if you have any queries or any question regarding our discussion today, you may type your question in comment section and I will read it for you. Before we start the discussion today, it is a great pleasure for me to introduce our panels for this forum. Our two special panels today have a lot of knowledge and also experiences about the topic that we will discuss later. Our first speaker, she obtained her Master in Information System and her PhD in Economics and Information Systems, both from University of Wollongong. Presently, she is a lecturer from Kuliyyah of Information and Communication Technology, KICT, in IIUM Gombak. Please join us, Associate Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. How are you?
Waalaikumsalam, how are you? Thank you, Brother Adib, for the kind introductions.
Thank you, Doctor. Alright, so our next speaker, he is the investigation officer, Police Cyber Investigation and Response Center, and he had experience in this field from December 2015 until today, around 6 years experience. Please welcome Inspector Clement Loh Wei Man. How are you, Inspector?
Assalamualaikum dan salam Ramadan, brothers and sisters from UIA. I'm good, doing very well. It's a great month, bulan Ramadan. My name is Inspector Clement, seorang mualaf. So some usually people will get a shock when I give salam because I never change my name. So I hand it back to you, Brother Adib.
Okay, thank you, Inspector. So, without further ado, we will start our first question. So, my first question, I would like to get the opinion from both of you. So, the question is for Dr. Mira and also to the Inspector Clement. So, the question, like I already said before, regarding a little bit definition on cybercrime, my question is, can you tell us how is this cybercrime perpetrated and what are the general categories of cybercrime that normally take place in Malaysia? To answer this question, I will pass to Dr. Mira first, and after that, I will give it to the Inspector Clement. So please, Dr. Mira, the floor is yours.
Okay, all right. So my view on the cybercrime in general, is it?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So if I get the question right, is I want to share. I think this all rooted to the fact that we as now we have globally we have an increasing number of the people access to internet, and I think every year we have a good. I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to share some screen here.
Sure, Doctor.
Okay, so let me just share some few bits on. Okay. Okay. All right. So is it viewable? Can you see the screen? Brother Adit, can you see the screen?
Not yet, Doctor.
Not yet. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I
But
can see the
yep. Great. Okay. So let me just give some background because I think it is important for us to understand why this crime is actually growing. First, I would like to highlight the fact that now the number of users on the internet is actually globally is increasing, and some will have to be sort of pushed towards accessing the internet due to the current pandemic. So if you have a look in terms of the growth number of populations accessing internet these past few years, is not so much of that there's a significant increase, but yes, the trend is growing. But what is interesting in during the pandemic is that people started to access from the place where we seldom access frequently as much before the pandemic, and this may be which not maybe due. This is due to the fact that we were required to stay at home, and that's actually very important measures. To stop all this spread of virus, but because of we are not used to work away from the environment where we are having certain kind of SOPs and whatnot, and now that we have to work from home or we have to study from school from home, there are certain things that we are not really equipped, and we have to learn things on the fly. And when we learn things on the fly, this actually lead some room when things are not really properly defined. This actually leaves some rooms for the whirlwind, the fast growing of cybercrime, actually, because we were not aware that doing this or doing that, things that we are not used to doing it, that actually gives or leaves some loophole for people to actually take benefits of our lack of knowledge. I'm not going to say it's ignorance, but I think things that perhaps we need to be aware that we need to keep equip ourselves with more knowledge on how the cybercrime is actually happen. So in 2020 alone, this is actually the worst. I'm not sure. Maybe the inspector can sort of complete it later. But globally, the 2020 is one of the year where there's grim pictures of cybercrime happening in the world, where data breach, hacking, and whatnot is actually happens quite rampant. And this not only happens to the businesses or the governments, also happen to the individuals. The amount of money that has been lost in this 1 year alone is quite devastating. So I think this is something that should makes us more aware, and it gives us an alarm that we have to change on how we interact or how we work in online, especially. There are a couple of crimes which I think we will get to that later, but just want to set the ground that globally, I think it is inevitable that people are exposed to cybercrime, especially on the rate where we don't really where we don't really expose ourselves to how we equip to save ourselves in the cyber world. I'm not sure whether that's answer your questions before. Is there anything that I missed from the questions just now?
I think you answered the question, Doctor.
All right, great. Okay. All right.
But thank you, Dr. Mira. So I will pass the question to Inspector Clement. Please, Inspector.
Sorry, Adib, Brother Adib, could you repeat the question for me?
Oh, sure, Doctor. Sure, Inspector. So the question is about how cybercrime is perpetrated, and what are the general categories of cybercrime. that normally takes place in Malaysia. Are you clear,
All right.
Doctor? Are you clear, Inspector?
Okay. Let me answer the second question.
Okay.
I'll address the second question first. Normally in Malaysia, and regards in PDRM, cybercrimes are divided to 6 categories. The first one will be e-financial fraud. Second one, which is among the most popular one during the pandemic last year, was e-commerce, or or we call it as e-dagang. The third one is intellectual property. The fourth one will be 419 scam, or uh, which is more well known as love scam by the public. The fifth would be telecommunication fraud or Macau scam. Last but not least would be Section 233, the Communication and Multimedia Act. Sorry. So normally, as we see a lot of, as years goes by, the trend of cybercrime is growing. There's two things now, whether we categorize as by the amount of victim or the amount of losses. Both of these give two different pictures, right? We can have amount of victims, but at the same time, the amount of losses suffered by the victim is also increased tremendously as years. Especially we see during the pandemic and last year, a lot of people got scammed by buying or purchasing face masks online. Not only individuals, but also suffered by the big enterprises, right? Nevertheless, especially a growing countries growing rapidly, we see a lot of people spending more time on social media, which is having the lack of physical uh, or how to say face-to-face interaction, right? So more and more people will get, how I say, chances to get scammed by love scam is way higher because they tend to spend more time on Facebook or social media. But in fact, one thing they've forgotten to check, and always they need to check who is the person actually. Have they seen the person actually before making any transaction, or would you say accepting any gift from a different party, which at the end of the day, the one who's going to be suffering will be them, not the other side. I'll talk more on this later on. um, Cybercrime does not care whether the perpetrator, whether there's according to the gender or age. It can be a small boy sitting behind an iPhone itself who can be doing all this, or it can be a young lady or old lady from age 30 to 40 years old. Unlike normal crime where you have burglary, it actually takes a certain age or a certain background to do so, because it requires you a certain physical size. However, in cybercrime, there's there's no age. That it can be from 12 years old up to 50 or 70 years old. It depends how good are they with the technologies or any media social platform they can exploit. That's all from me.
Thank you, Inspector Clement, for the explanation. So, from the both explanation from Dr. Mira and also Inspector Clement, I would like to highlight. I would like to highlight the point from from Inspector Clement, which is cybercrime does not care about the gender. So, either we are men or we are women. So we all exposed to be a victim to cybercrime. So both from the both explanation, it is important for us to aware regarding the cybercrime in order to avoid us from be a victim to the cybercrime. So for the categories in cybercrime, like Inspector Clement have said before, there are 6 categories that we need to take note in order we get aware regarding the cybercrime. All right. So for the second question, I will appoint to Dr. Mira. All right, Doctor. As we all already know, when someone become a victim for cybercrime, there are a lot of important things for the victim that are lost, or we can say stolen from the cyber criminals, or famously known as hacker, such as money in bank account and also the data information. So my question is, how do they obtain or gain access to victims' information? Did they use some apps, perhaps, or maybe they just threaten others? I don't know, doctor. I will pass to doctor to answer this question. Please, doctor, the floor is yours. Sorry, doctor, you mute yourself.
Okay, yeah. It so happened that I have also prepared the slide for this.
Sure, doctor.
I think these are the three common things. Just now you mentioned about how the identity is being basically all those things that you mentioned just now. Those are we call it as data breaches. Okay, so these are the three common, most common cyber attacks used in data breaches affecting individuals. There are some actually more prone to governments or businesses, but these are the three most common to individuals as well as businesses. Okay, but we focus on the individuals, which is related to us. So the most one is actually the first one is I will leave the ransomware later, but I think what is common is phishing. Okay, the third one. This is the most common ways for hackers to gain access to sensitive informations. And I think these days I've seen quite a lot of emails, even goes to the officials' emails or even to individuals, to my personal emails, where people claiming that you won something. Okay, so you've won some tickets, you've won some this and that. Okay, so all these kind of things is actually a way for how these perpetrators trying to access our individual information. So first thing that we have to be aware of when we receive all those kind of emails is not to get excited. Okay, so this is the most common sense I think that we can sort of instill in ourselves, is to know that all those emails, the default reactions as that is possibly is trying to fish to phishing attack, to do some phishing attack or on our computers or on our devices, not necessarily on computers, can be on our handphone as well. So by having access to these confidential informations, basically they can do a lot more things beyond just stealing the money. Okay, so it could be like impersonating you, or they can actually use these informations to get access to the contact in your devices, and that's even worse. Okay, so not only that, the losses in terms of tangible things like money, but this actually put other people, especially our loved one, could be our families or friends, in danger as well. And so this is, again, as I said earlier, we have to be aware when the hackers or the some perpetrators is trying to access our device by sharing emails or sharing attachments. Okay, so or videos that ask us to download, and this could be the beginning of ways for them to get access to our confidential information. And the second one is actually malware. Malware is again, this is also another way for them to actually steal the information from our devices or from our people in our network. And how it actually works, it can actually penetrate your computer when you are navigating hack website. So it's possible that the website is legit, but it's just that the website has been hacked. So when you are trying to provide some personal informations, those informations goes to them. So this is another thing that perhaps we should be aware. If there's any pop-up messages saying that your information is being compromised or things like that, or the possibilities of the websites being hacked, so maybe it's good idea to not put any personal information, or perhaps you can sort of notify the website's owner and ask them to sort of handle the issues when it comes to the platform itself is being hacked. And the last one is ransomware, and this is actually the scariest, I think, for many of us, especially students, when it affects the students. And I've encountered a couple of events where the students actually brought the devices, brought the device to me and said, I cannot work with device with these computers with this laptop anymore because all of the files are locked, and to open the files I have to pay certain amount. So this is actually the ransomware, and this is another way for them to actually take control of your device and making sure that the only way for you to work with your own file is to pay the perpetrators, the third party with most of the time it's through cryptocurrency. So this is something that again we have to be aware of. Don't get tempted to open any links that you are not really sure what's the links all about, especially files, and be careful with navigating all those websites which possibly it has been hacked, and be careful with any emails impersonating, whether that comes from the bank or things like that, especially if there's any emails that looks like comes from the bank and asking you to put in your credentials. There's no way any banks would do that. Okay, so let me make it clear, there's no way any banks would do that. It's not allowed. Even if when you are calling the bank and the person asks a password from you, then you can clearly say, no bank should actually knows my password. So this is something that you need to be aware of, that we do have rights as a consumers, and those rights is meant to protect us. Okay, so I think that's from me, Adib.
Thank you, Doctor. So the important thing that I want to highlight from Doctor presentation is regarding 3 common cyber attacks used in data breaches affecting individuals, which are ransomware. The second one is malware, and the last one, the third one, is phishing. So if we go through the slide previously, so the common target for these 3 cyber attack is for individuals and business. So if we look at the target, which is individuals, we need to aware from the sharing from the doctor previously, in order we got some information on how we can be attacked or we can be a victim of cyber criminals. So if we take note regarding the how cyber attacks is work, inshallah we will prevent ourselves from be a victim for cyber criminals. So next question, I will pass to the Inspector Clement. So I think this question is some related with the previous question. The question is, how do cybercrime predators, or we call as hacker, choose their victims? Are the victims being chosen randomly, or are the predators have their specific target based on the criteria which has been decided by the predators, maybe? So I will pass the floor to Inspector. Please, Inspector.
Regarding on your question, Adib, most of the cybercrime attack will be randomized. They don't specifically target an individual unless they have their target. All right. In regards of malwares, phishing, or ransomware, generally all these are random. However, there's cases whereby the suspect target specific individual, therefore he will start with phishing. All right, whereby ransomware and malware usually are distributed in a mass in a network towards everybody. Usually you get it's if a computer is not protected by any antivirus or not with the latest update patch, you're prone to be one of those victims. Nevertheless, users who are always using application like torrent, if you're not familiar with it, you accidentally download the malware, or where you have what I call a happy finger. Anything in the website you simply click and simply receive. You also your device will also be infected with all this malware and as well as ransomware. In general, the way I look in things is, you can give the most high-end PC computer or smart device to a person, but if a person is not attack savvy, it is very dangerous. Similarly, a smart if it's a smart IT person behind the device without antivirus, he is still 50% safe rather than 0%. I think Dr. Mira would agree with me on that. And another thing is, whenever we connect a smart device to a public network, for instance, we're in McDonald's or Starbucks, always be careful. Do not serve to sensitive websites such as e-banking, because we never know the person sitting next to it is sniffing on the network to see what our information that we are keying in on keyboard, all right? Or using our friend's PC doing internet online bankings, because it's dangerous. We may know we can take the precautions, but then our friend PC may not have the latest update of antivirus or whatnot. Or even so, I think a lot of students that tends to use pirated antivirus, which is very dangerous. Even I like to advise most of the audience here, even though you're using a smart device such as iPhone or maybe an Android on your handphone, make sure if you are able, please spend a little bit of money on installing and purchasing a legitimate antivirus. Because whatever is given for free, there's something in return the programmer or the host would want something, especially like when you download a particular apps or game online, right? That somebody is actually drawing your information without you knowing. So be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Clement, for the sharing. So, based on the sharing from Inspector, the cyber attack is not specific to the someone. It can be randomly. Maybe we need to aware regarding this matter in order to avoid ourselves to be a criminal, to be a victim for the cyber crime. So what we need to do is we need to get ready lah, in order regarding this matter, in case if we are exposed to be a victim for the cybercrime. So I also like to share the sharing from the from inspector before this, which is the advice from the inspector, which is if we use the public internet or public Wi-Fi such as like that, we always need to be careful, and we need not to use online banking when we use public internet, and also if we use our friend PC or laptops, we also need to aware, we need to avoid ourselves from use online banking. So uh, I also like to highlight the advice from Inspector Clement, which is any device that we have used right now, we need to spend at least a few dollar, a few ringgit, in order to install antivirus, in order to avoid ourselves from being a victim for cybercrime. So thank you again, Doctor, for the very enlightening sharing. So next we move to the next question. So my next question is to our first speaker, Dr. Mira. So nowadays we have difficulties to differentiate between the real one, or we can say as the safe one, or the cybercrime. So the question is, maybe doctor can give us any useful tips that can be applied in order to differentiate between the cybercrime and also the real one. So I will pass the mic to Dr. Mira. Please, doctor, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Adib. Okay, so the fake one or the real one? Okay, I think I need to get some context here. What do you mean by the fake or the real one? Is it a website or emails that comes to our inbox? Which one is the fake and which one is the real one? Okay, so let me just start with that one first, the last one first. So if you receive any emails, okay, from so-called any banks, and then it claims that, okay, so your account has been compromised, and you are required, the bank would like to take precaution steps, and then you are required to key in your credentials, be that username and password to the e-banking. If you have a look, actually, if you just scroll to just on top of those link, okay, and then you look at down the page, the link mentioned there, and the HTTP, the address, the actual address of that website is actually different. That's a sign of it is actually trying to is a phishing. Okay, so it is trying to alert you to different address, and eventually it might look legit. Again, as I said, it may look legit. The website's exactly like a certain bank, but then again, you know that it is not actually hosted in the right server, and especially if you don't see that. The padlock on the top on the address bar, so that's another signs that it is actually an attempt to steal your information. So that's from the phishing perspective. Fake or real in terms of, I'm not sure that there's many ways, exactly like Inspector Clement mentioned just now, especially when it comes to e-commerce. Most of the platform also have that kind of countermeasures to stop any things, any attempt or any sellers from selling the fake product online, but still there are chances. So what should we do? Look for the platform that have that kind of some kind of protections on the customer sides, because I know now there's a lot of e-commerce platform growing, even on what was is that now the social medias has also been used for e-commerce, and that's actually what is worrying when social media platform is being used for selling or trading expensive items. That's because there's clearly mentioned in the terms and agreements for Facebook, any trades, they will not be able to be responsible if you are actually dealing or trading on the platforms. So the only thing that you can perhaps Inspector Clement perhaps can highlight this later, can sort of elaborate this later in terms of legal things, but technicalities. It is a mutual transaction. So the fact that one of the parties not really declaring the truth, the only thing that you can do in terms of technicalities is just to sue the sellers. You cannot sue the platform because it is, again, they clearly mentioned it is not meant for official trading, unless if you are using Facebook. I'm not sure if they are claiming as a business entities, but even so, we have seen quite worrying statistics that even those so-called businesses still not really properly doing transactions online. So in this case, I think we have to be more aware. We have to be more cautious. Fake or real can be done two ways just now. Awareness of where those links goes. Okay, so the least thing you can do, just check, just cross over, just put your mouse over the link and see whether that actually consistent to the way it actually leads the page to. And then if it's e-commerce, then you really have to know the platform as well as the platform as well as the sellers, the credibilities of the sellers, because some e-commerce platforms do provide those kind of protections when the items or the goods that you actually ordered doesn't is not received. You have some kind of ways and mechanism to actually make sure that you are being protected and the money doesn't go to the sellers. So I think those are the things that come to my mind. Perhaps Inspector Clement would be able to elaborate more things. Thank you.
Sure, Inspector, you want to add something?
Right. Like in regards of e-commerce, right? I think nowadays we see more and more e-commerce or e-marketplace platform requires the seller to register. That's what they call KYC, right? So it depends on how the business model of the company works. Is if they are more ethical or they have the obligation, or what, in a way I put it into a perspective whereby they are more responsible, right? They'll require all the seller to register their particular, and once the product has arrived to the destination or the customer, only then the money will be released. However, back then, most of the platform does not have this. Like we've seen, I think 10 years back, where I think they call it lelong.com.my during my uni days, and muda.com.my. Back then, does not requires much more to authenticate the seller. But nowadays, we see a lot of companies, especially we take a company like Luno, it requires, or a Grab app, it requires the user to submit their IC, their identification card, as well as their image as well, to prove the authentication, to authenticate the seller or the user itself, which is one of the how do you say, protection or a safety measure towards the users online. However, when it comes to Facebook Marketplace users or the audience today, you have to be very careful, as including Instagram, because anybody can create an account in Instagram or Facebook. But who is the real seller behind it? Nobody knows. Most of the e-commerce we have in our statistics, our victims are very often are from Instagram, Facebook, these two platforms. It's really high because I think this is one of the most popular social media. All right, and that would I highlighted I think I highlighted e-commerce. The next one we go to phishing. Very interesting. All right. Most online bankings, I'll take online bankings as a best example because they are the leading in this industry, right? If any user who are aware, every legitimate website, right, they have this padlock. There's this small little padlock on the URL bar. Usually it could be a green color or it can be white. But try to click on the padlock itself, you will see a SSL, secure socket layer, right? Whereby if you click on a certificate, you will see the certificate is issued to a certain website, which is a designated website. It cannot be anything else. So there's one of the how to say, a way for you to check whether the website is legit. All right, and of course, a lot of times, I think, let's take my parents example. They are about 60 years old, 70. They're not aware of this, but I'm trying my best to teach them, because phishing for us, I think the youngsters or the 80s, 90s generation should be fine, because they know, they are aware of all this cybercrime, but not our elderly, right? So you guys have to share this with them. Do not click on anything they are not sure. Do not open any email that you are not sure. And that include those SMS that we receive. Sometimes it comes from 5-digit numbers telling that our banks, there's certain payment or whatsoever. Do check first with your bank account whether there's a deduction. If not, then no. If you have such credit card, because sometimes once you click on the link, it will be very dangerous. It will lead you to something else. All right. And when it comes to that, now I'll touch about Macau scam or telecommunication fraud. What kind of calls are fake? What kind of calls are real? All right. The real calls from the police, it's usually will identify themselves and ask you and also call up your name, right? So what happens is, the next thing they'll do is, for instance, Mr. Adib, you are requested to be at which balai at what day to facilitate in any investigation. All right, because, and what they will not do is, they will not ask for your money. That is totally wrong. And they will not they won't connect you to Bank Negara or any other, or could be custom or whatsoever. That's not our SOPs. Police does not ask you to bank in a certain money to a certain account. or to connect your phone to another agencies. Okay. Similarly, I think last year, I think it's under ICINA or something like that. I can't recall. There's this app, once the EPF or the bank or the government issued all this stimulus package to people, there's this modus operandi whereby the, the cyber criminal will send you a link, will ask you to fill up all your bank particulars, including your bank account number, your full name, as well as your PIN. All these are fake bank apps. Once a victim would have keyed every details, all the bank details they have, the next thing they'll know is when they wake up, all their money is gone. All right. Bank Negara does not send you a link or IP address for you to click on it to download an app. So what is real, what is not, I think I able to separate which is legitimate and which is not. Is there anything else I did?
I think that's answered the question. So I would like to thank you to Dr. Mira and also Dr. Inspector Clement. So what I can conclude from the explanation and sharing from both our panels today. So there are many ways to differentiate between the real one and the fake one. So one ways that I think is very important is we need to look at the platform that they use, either that platform have some protection or not. And like Inspector Clement have said before, we need to very careful before we fill in the details, fill in the important details such as our account number and also our IC number to the platform that we not sure whether that platform is safe or not. So if we receive any email or if we receive any link that we are not sure at the safe or not, it is better for us to avoid from click and enter to that platform or to that website or to that link. So thank you again to Dr. Mira and also Inspector Clement for the very wonderful sharing. So maybe this is the last question before we proceed with the Q&A session. So this question is for Inspector Clement. So Inspector, we all sincerely hope not to fall into victim to cybercrime, or we can say as we become a victim for cybercrime. But in case we are the one of the cybercrime victim, what should we do? Is it possible for us to make a report to PDRM, Polis Diraja Malaysia? And if yes, how long does PDRM normally take in order to overcome this case? I will pass the floor to Inspector.
Oh, tough question. All right. For any case in regards to scam or cybercrime, you guys are welcome to go to the nearest police station that is possible to you as soon as possible to report. All right, to make a police report. As far as the investigation, it will take normally depends on how complex the investigation will be. If, for instance, if it's related to Facebook, it requires time. We have document in regards of documentation, we request from Facebook and so on. It takes time. All these legals matter, but don't be shy, don't be scared. Do make a police report as soon as possible, especially those who are involved in love scam, because love scam involve usually big amount of money. We're talking about includes as well as Macau scam. Sometimes we see in newspaper includes 200,000, 1 million losses, right? So if you guys would have made a police report as soon as possible, I think and I believe we are able to seize that money or to contact the bank to hold your money, to protect your money for investigation purpose, which if things goes on smooth, the money could be retrieved back to the victim, right? I think I did share the contact numbers with one of your colleagues. I think, is it, how am I able to share it? Or can I share screen for my side?
Sure, Inspector. You can share your
Alright.
screen.
Let me try. Oh, that's the one. All right. So in commercial crime, we take the initiative to modernize certain ways of our SOPs, right? So what we have is ccid.rmp.gov.my is a website for you to check any bank accounts before making a purchase or making any transfer, right? However, we also design an app called Check SEMA CCID, which in the Google Play Store. This is built in-house, all right, by few of our officers, because there's no is cybercrime is different from, we call it physical crime. Crime prevention is so much tougher compared to the normal crimes we see, because normally, if let's say a certain area will have a lot of break-in and entering, right? What we do is we increase the amount of patrolling within that certain area. But however, in cybercrime, how are you? It's difficult to monitor everything online. The only thing, the best method is to educate the user, which having such session like today, create awareness to the public. All right. On top of that, we have CCID info line. This is where the public can WhatsApp, all right, to check whether what is the progress of your investigation paper. Users, because sometimes we contact the IO, the investigation IO, the investigation officer is too busy to entertain you, right? Because IOs usually have 10-20 calls a day, and they tend to miss all those calls, all right? Because while recording statement, they don't know who's this person is calling, right? So you guys can WhatsApp to CCRE info line. The officer in charge will relay the information to the IO. The IO will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, this is interesting. CCID Scam Response Center. This is something new. So what happened is, especially to do with Macau scam and love scam, if you have made a huge number, if you realize that you have been scammed, please make a call immediately to this number. The officer on duty will facilitate the victim in regards on, maybe at times we were able to retrieve or stop the money from completing the transaction towards to the suspect account. All right, this is our latest one. Or you guys can check on our Facebook to read our latest updates on the latest modus operandi, because cybercrimes change their techniques on how it basically evolved very fast. It changes the MO faster than any industry revolution can be. All right, it changes drastically, because last time, the latest MO was buying on eBay or muda.com and whatnot, right? Nowadays, you'll be surprised. Even the seller gets scammed, not the buyer. All right. So this is the 4 things I would like to share for this morning. So anything else, Adib?
Thank you, Inspector. I think that's answered the question I give. This is the well side to the.
Okay. Sorry, Adib, but can I just add something? Because now that we have been focusing on cybercrime, most of our focus has been on something that is related to tangible losses, right? But there's also something that is intangible losses, like another crime which is hardly being discussed is cyberbullying. And this is very rampant in this e-learning, so-called era, right? The way everybody will have to be pushed towards learning and interacting online. This is just last night, actually, exactly last night, I've spoken to some of the law enforcement in Indonesia, which is we were discussing about how to increase awareness, especially among students, on how to properly behave, especially when you are interacting online, because the numbers of cases reported, especially when it comes to mental health issues post pandemic. I mean, like, we are not post pandemic; we are still in the pandemic time. After the school from home season started, there's a lot of cases reported on the numbers of cyberbullying, and a lot of the students doesn't really know how to react. So this is, again, I think, the right platform to highlight on the how you should react when people actually intimidated you or bullying you online, be that just as a matter of it's just a joke, nothing personal, but when it is online, nothing that is officially written and sent to the cloud is not official. Okay, so it is official, so no joke is can be taken slightly. Okay, so if I may highlight a few things that when it comes to cyberbullying, especially, I think inspector have highlighted a few points when it comes to commercial crime, but for cyberbullying, I would suggest a few things. The first one is to report, be that to your institutions or to any officials offices in the institutions. Not necessarily it has to go directly to, I'm not sure, perhaps Inspector Clement can highlight later whether it should go directly to the police, but most of the institutions, usually we do have some kind of policy where things can be settled. If we can settle this inside the institutions, it will be better, because sometimes these statements were not made, again, as I said, were not made intentionally. So perhaps we need to take some kind of collegial. I'm not sure what would be the approach, but it's hopefully not necessarily has to start with legal. Okay, so but still you have to report and don't instigate. Okay, so don't if someone put a rumor, then don't put another rumor to hurt the person. So I think
Don't pour petrol.
exactly. There you go. Yeah. So okay. So don't respond. Don't retaliate. And block them. And now I think there's many. All of the platforms have ways. Okay. So some people said, but I cannot block in Facebook. Or then you're not really familiar with the functionalities in Facebook. Every platform have a ways to block anyone. Okay. So block them, and just if possible, take screenshots of every evidences, just in case the person, the one that actually put that rumors deleted it, then you still have proof. But what happened if it's already been deleted? In this, every system have logs. Okay, so have log, very detailed log. So we can actually check when those postings actually being sent, from where, by whom. We do have that, although the post might have been deleted. So I think this is another crime that that is very important to be highlighted. Although there's no money losses, but still it is affecting the users online. So please be aware of that crime as well. Thank you.
Allow me to add on that. So when it comes to cyberbullying, we see nowadays a lot of people spending time at home, work from home, or even kids or teenagers or students, right? They tend to like to troll on their friends, all right, or anything that is interesting on that particular day. They'll start to do troll, meme, and so on. So I think all the audience here enjoy reading all those um, post sharing in Facebook as whatnot, right? Now here comes. Whenever we go on media social, we are exposing ourselves. Whether we like it or not, we ourselves are the first one to share our post, to share our image, right? If we are not ready for people to take our pictures, please do not share. Number one. Before we share, we have to think, what is the impact towards our reputation, our friend's image? Because school kids nowadays, they tend to share things faster than they can read. I mean, we see a lot of videos taken by friends, which is not certain videos that's not supposed to, in a way they are tengah mengaibkan kawan mereka. All right. So be mindful whenever we share. Be mindful whatever we type, because certain things may not hurt ourselves, but it will be a different. You create a certain pain towards our friends who are reading it. All right. So like what doctor says is correct. Whenever somebody is bullying or encounter cyberbullying, make sure print screen is important. Take down the URL, collect whatever evidence it is. However, certain platform may not have able to keep a certain log for a certain period of time. All right. So if we act on it fast, we are able to track down in all these logs and so whatnot for legal proceedings. All right. But most of the time, it can be resolved internally within an institution or within their own circle itself. But do be aware whatever we share, because we have to take responsible for what we share and what we write and what we speak. But well, I think this is the modern era. Everything is digital, so no such thing as I've forgotten what I said. All right. So I think we are working on it. We are moving forward to the digital era, especially I believe after this COVID, what we call the post-COVID era. I think everything will be more digitalized. Especially, do you agree on me with that, Dr. Mira, since you are an expert in MIS?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, 101%.
So
Yeah.
another
And
thing I
also
think,
sorry,
sorry.
Inspector, I just realized another thing is on social engineering, right? And I think this is also that I'm very sure police are handling a lot of cases these days where people suddenly complain about how those people knows my date of birth or the place where I was. Well, you basically announce everything on Facebook or any social medias. So for someone to knows your date of birth, it's easy these days because the whole world basically saying happy birthday on that day. So that's the day when you are born. It's just a matter of calculating how old are you, and then we get the full date of birth. So I think this is another thing that we have to be aware. So much of that some people wants to be popular, but there's a cost of announcing every single thing about what you do or where you've been or when is your birthday. So I think you have to be aware on the cost of that when you are doing things online.
Yeah, betul. I think most of the time we overexpose ourselves just to get attention from the internet, to get amount of likes, amount of share that we're trying to be popular for, to seek attention, right? So, okay, here comes. I would like to address something to do with love scam again. We can be anybody offline, all right? But surprisingly, people tend to fall in love easily online. This is from my own experience. I look into the case, right? They get to know each other for less than a week, and a very handsome man from a foreign country suddenly say, "I fall in love with you," and I show a picture of you to my mom, and she said, my mom says, if we were to continue this relationship, we need to get married first. So the suspect plays the sentiment of a religion, whereby he knows the victim religion would be what do you call this, Islam, right? Muslim. So for any relationship to proceed, it requires a bond, which is called, which they have to get married. They believe in married first before dating, right? So the suspect would say, okay, in order for us to proceed this relationship, I would now send a sum of money and a beautiful handbags and also jewelries, right? For the audience, never believe such things. Nobody is so kind to give you money. Nobody is so kind to get married with you so fast, all right? Please check. If you do want to take extra precaution, do a video call. Make sure it's a legitimate video call, all right? And make sure when you're doing your video call, wear a proper attire. Many times the suspect will take pictures or take recordings, then later on will try to blackmail you, which happens a lot which happens a lot to a lot of Malaysians here, which sometimes I'm a bit surprised. And don't simply release your money out to anybody you don't know, because even siblings trying to borrow money from you guys also, I think you guys wouldn't borrow 10 ringgit. But towards somebody that you are unknown, you're willing to buy an iPhone for that person, which is very surprisingly. So all these suspect or cyber criminals, they're very good at social engineering. In terms of Macau scams or telecommunication fraud, right? All your names are online, unless you change your name to some, you know, and all they need to do is just simply guess your your IC number in the middle, the 2-digit, right? And the last 4-digit, they'll ask you to verify. So the victim yourself would give. So bear in mind, whenever you receive calls, don't expose yourself. Do not get panic. Relax. You guys can check. You guys can say, okay, you hang up. I'll call back later. You guys check with your friends. I'm sure a lot of you guys have friends with the police force, or or if you don't have, you can just go to the nearest police station and check whether your name is popped in the system. You guys are wanted in a wanted list or requires to assist in any investigation. Right? Do not panic. First thing, do not panic. Check with your parents. Check with your friends. Check with any of your colleagues. Don't react on it. Okay. And lastly, if you guys were to do live broadcasts like Instagram Live, Facebook Live, or any other Omni TV, so you call it, be careful. Do not simply share videos, because at times there's victims, they are not aware of their surroundings, whereby they're doing a live broadcast on a very sensitive area, which is not permitted by law, or accidentally their friends are having a shower, or the siblings. So it's dangerous, because we never know who is watching. We never know how many pedophiles out there. So be careful. All right.
Thank you to Dr. Mira and also to Inspector Clement for the sharing. So what I can conclude and the important things that I want to highlight again from the sharing from Dr. Mira and also Inspector Clement, which is Inspector Clement is very recommended if we report to the PDRM if we have a feeling to be exposed as a victim for cybercrime, and also if we already be a victim of cybercrime. So Inspector Clement is very recommended to report it to the PDRM or police in the news station. So Inspector Clement also shared the 4 ways that we can use in order to report if we exposed to to be a victim for cybercrime, which is the first one is semak mula, the second one is CCID line, and that one is CCID Scam Response Center, and this last one is through the report through Facebook. So I would like to highlight the sharing from Dr. Mira, which is there are another crime instead of under cybercrime, which is cyberbullying. So how we need to handle if we are the victim for cyberbullying is the first one, we need to report this cyberbullying to the institution or official institution, so that the institution can take some action to solve this matter. So, and another way is we can block anyone that can harm ourselves in this cyberbullying. So Also, I would like to highlight the Inspector Clement sharing from Inspector Clement, which is right now we are in the pandemic and we do a lot of things, do a lot of work in our home. So we need to we need to think carefully before we share our personal things, such as our photo, our opinion on something, and anything else to the social media such as Facebook and Instagram. We need to be mindful what we share, and also we need to be mindful what we type, because uh, sometimes what we share and what we type can give a bad effect or negative effect to the someone. So this also categorized as one of the types of cyberbullying. So beside that, I also I love to hear from Inspector Clement, which is regarding love scam. So what I can conclude is we need to be careful with this love scam, and we need to not easily to fall in love in someone, especially in online. So it is better for us to be to stay single rather than to be a victim for scam, I think. All right, so
Interesting conclusion there.
thank you for the question, for the answer to Dr. Mira and also to Inspector Clement. So with that question, it's indicate that we have finished our forum today. But before we move to the Q&A session, soft reminder to the participants: for those who has not yet fill in the registration form, you can do so. You can click the link in the comment section. All right, so we move to the Q&A session. So I will open to the floor. If there are any question that you want to ask regarding our discussion today on cybercrime, you can type your question in comment section and I will read it for you. Please do not hesitate to ask. All right, Doctor and Inspector, while we waiting for the question, while we waiting the question from the participant, I have one question for both of you to answer. So my question is, in January, a group of hackers called Anonymous Malaysia released a video clip which went viral on social media platforms such as Facebook and also Instagram and also Twitter, threatening to hack government websites. So my question is, can you explain a bit about this? And is this issue can be taken lightly, or will it bring any harm in the future, especially for Malaysia government and for Malaysia citizen? So I think I will pass this question to Dr. Mira first, and after that I will give it to Inspector Clement. So please, Doctor, the floor is yours.
Okay, so as highlighted earlier, every entities, be that governments, businesses, do have risks. Okay, so the videos actually not inherent to the government. Actually, when we have a look at the statistics, even commercial sectors have also experienced this. And if you have a look on the recent IT report, the Horizons, and there's a lot more actually, companies are doing all this research on the securities. They've reported quite a lot of incidents actually happening, be that covered by the conventional medias like TV or whatnot, but it happens. Okay, so whether this is something that government have taken into account, I'm very sure every government has taken some countermeasures at all levels. But I think another thing that also we need to highlight is that if you have a look at the one report, 95% of every of these incidents actually caused by human errors. So technical uh, countermeasures might be in place, but what I or we have to be worried is whether the people that handle the system are aware on how they should, or any of us actually, because we are contributing to the government's data as well, whether we do aware of how we should protect ourselves. Again, back to the initial notions just now, that we all of us needs to be careful when we are, especially when we are submitting any informations, or when we are sharing any files, and especially if those files is being sent to official platform, and we don't take care of ourselves, especially we don't put any antivirus, as what inspector mentioned just now, you are put not only yourself in danger, but also all people in your network that might receive your file. So I think if you ask me whether this is inherent to the government, and whether the government have taken some kind of preventions, I'm very sure they do. Impact wise, I'm very sure they have also assessed, because it is also part of the business, the BCP, right? Business continuity process, that they have to tackle all those risks. To what, how much have been put? I'm very sure it is. Inspector would have that information a lot more better as compared to me, but technical wise, we are in the age where things are advanced in terms of preventions, but also the criminal is also advanced. So it is things that I mean, like, both sides are growing fast, but there's always the weakest link, and the weakest link is the human. So I'm not sure how fast the awareness, the knowledge, the skill that has been embedded into the organizations to make sure that whatever countermeasures, technical countermeasures, are actually effective. So this is perhaps that needs to be looked at carefully. Yeah, that's from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira, for the answer. So let's hear the answer from Inspector Clement.
In regards of the to the anonymous, right? So
Yes.
it's like what Dr. Mira, Doctor actually say, is actually both sides is actually moving forward fast. The police or the government, they are moving as forward in terms of securities and whatnot, whereby the perpetrator will usually try to exploit those weak links, right? So again, my advice, the way I look into it, is to all the ITs programmer outside who are hearing this, please do not be passive. Be proactive. If you see a loopholes in any of your site or your servers or your website, do make the latest patch. Because very often we see in Malaysia, whether it's NGOs or enterprise website, they normally do not update their website regularly, right? So I think when technology move forward, their codes or how they program or how they write their scripts is outdated. That's where they make themselves vulnerable. In IT world, everything is moving forward. We cannot stop learning. We have to be continuing updating ourselves, reading the latest journals, the latest method applied by other countries to create the best safety net for ourselves. If this was if this thing was taken lightly, it would be dangerous. For I take an example: if a banking website has been hacked or has been defaced, I'm sure a lot of users' details of particular who goes to somewhere where it's not supposed, which is keeping the customers exposed. However, when it comes to government website, this is actually a very bad image, or that will give a very bad image or impact towards the IT department, which shouldn't be. And again, not only in Malaysia, I think countries like very modern countries or advanced countries like China suffer that, including US also suffer that. So I think this we will not be seeing this the last time. I'm sure in the future we'll be still seeing the same thing. However, it will be a different method by the perpetrator will use a different method into doing this. That's all I can comment. As the investigation is still going on, I cannot say anything else.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mira, and also Inspector Clement for answer the question. So I think we move to the next question from the participant. Right, so the questions come from Sister Shahrunisa Jeffrey. I have a question regarding scam. For those who are accidentally give money to the scammers, is it possible for us to retrieve back the money? If not, why? So I think Inspector Clement can answer this question.
Okay, if you accidentally would have given money to scammers, allow me to rephrase, you have been scammed, all right? So is it possible to retrieve your money? Okay, if let's say you have transferred the money yesterday on 30th of April, right? If you have made a police report within 24 hours, 48 hours, or within a certain time frames as soon as possible, we have enough time to retrieve the money or hold the money from the suspect account. Because what happened is, very often money that the victim has transferred to a mule account, if as long as the money is still on the first layer, we're still able to hold your money. However, if let's say it takes after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, when the money has transferred elsewhere, it will be difficult for us to retrieve your money back. All right. Why? All right. Traditionally, if I were to hand over you a 100 ringgit note, that's a serial number, right? I can prove that money it's from me. When it comes to digital, it will be very difficult for us to prove because your money goes into a mule account, or for this case, I call it a B account, right? So the money get mixed up inside. So it's difficult for us to prove that when the money was transferred to elsewhere is your money. So it's more to technical issue here. However, if it's physical, it will be easier for us to prove. But nevertheless, once the police report has been made, investigation has been done, the victim is able to retrieve the money back if the money is still within the account. If it's not, it will be difficult to retrieve your money back. Because the money has been transferred to another channel or account C or account D in this case. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Inspector Clement, and also to Sister Shahrunisa. We move to the next question.
Oh, before something came to my mind. Okay,
Sure, sure.
the victim can also seek a tribunal court case against the suspect, whereby there's another channel for you to retrieve back your money, because police will do investigate in terms of criminal, will give justice in terms of punishment or not by the court. However, in tribunal, that is also another channel for you to retrieve back your money or civil case. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector Clement, for the answer. So for the next question, so the next question come from Ibrahim Adel Ali Ahmed. So just want to ask, can you share with us what are the features or the signs that we have to be aware of this person if they are highly going to scam us? So I think I will pass to Dr. Mira for this question and also open to Inspector Clement to answer this question. So please, Dr. Mira.
Okay. Well, I think it's become profiling now. It's a bit hard to look at one person. Okay, he's going to scare me. It's not as easy as that. But we can look at the pattern of interactions, the pattern of the conversations. Just now, I think because I've also aware of some of the love scam cases. Okay, so all these love scams cases, especially, it takes a while. It doesn't sometimes 1 week is a good case scenario in my the case that I've handled is actually took like months, and it is all this. I mean, like senior citizens, which is usually they are prone because the families are busy, they don't have anyone, especially if the spouse have passed away. So they are very prone. They do have assets, and that's become things that are being targeted. So it takes months, and once they once the person have built the trust, then it's very sad that some people have to lose all the assets that they've collected throughout the life. So I think what we can see in here that you have to be cautious, be that a week, be that a month, be that a year, someone that is building a relationship on the basis that okay, I like you, let me give you some gift, but they never wants to meet, they never wants to well, technology is here, but if it's so difficult for a person to have face-to-face videos, and then they can basically converse on the phone, basically it shouldn't be a nice I don't think that's a legit excuse that I cannot meet you on videos but I can talk to you on the phone. So I think that's one of the indications that you should be worried as well, even when you are meeting face-to-face. Still you have to be more careful, you have to be careful, because once it gets into the financial things, especially giving gifts and whatnot, yes, you get the gifts, okay, yes, you get all those jewelries and whatnot, but how long, I mean, like, think about how many victims that these people handle. You know, they're not targeting you alone, they have uh, it's quite scary that this becomes a very, very kind of, I don't know, industry. You know, like people are handling 10 victims and whatnot. Whoever led into the potentials of being the victims, then once the transactions, especially, it could be a sub stories like, okay, so I've been giving you all gifts, but now my business is bankrupt. I need some kind of monies to sustain my business. I need to transfer the such amount. It's not much, but I really appreciate if you can just transfer it soon. I will pay you back next month, or I will pay you back next week. All those kind of promises, and this is some of the sub stories that I've received. But as I said earlier, when you look at one individuals and you can identify right away, I don't think there's such mechanism, and I don't think it is. I don't think that we have to judge. But we have to be cautious. I think it is to us rather than to other people. It's to us. I would suggest that we be more cautious rather than judging, oh, this is the potential scammers. This is the potential scammers. I don't think that would be the right approach. Wallahu alam. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira. Maybe Inspector Clement want to add something?
Yeah, this is the most difficult question I've seen for today. The sign that we have to be aware of this person if they're highly going to scam us. Well, I think this one I will address in terms of investment scam. Right? Very often nowadays we see, especially when the economy is bad, everybody is trying to find ways to provide food on the tables, right? Or especially youngsters, they want fast money. So people who are greedy, who are going for fast money, they are the main target that very highly they are going to be scammed. Let me take an example. I think recently, which is, or is it last year, there's this app called Like and Share, or iFans. It's a very simple way to make money. All you just do is just like and share, just invest a certain amount of money inside and you accumulate fast, right? So these are actually the people who are highly to be scammed. People who are greedy, who are looking for fast money. Bear in mind, though, my advice in terms of investment, as long as it's pyramid scheme or MLM, be careful. There's no such thing as good money, because all this, as long as this sustaining, it is investment. But once they stop paying or collapse, most of the victim call it a scam. But at the end of the day, there's no fast money. If you want money, you have to work for it. I think doctor agrees on me on that. And if there is investment, do please check with Bank Negara website, or do check on the background of the company or whatnot. But my advice from my experience, as long as MLM all these business online investment, be careful, including like Forex or whatnot, be careful. It's always safe to check before going into the particular investment models. On top of that, on the other side, okay, let me address this in terms of highly going to be scam. I think love scam. If we are a person who are always posting ourselves in Facebook or media social, we are lonely, I'm having a bad relationship with my wife or husband, ding dong, you get picture. So you are one of the most vulnerable target, because all I need to do is just start chatting with you, show you a bit of love, and once we are done with that, I'll make an offer. Then you start begging in money towards my account. Normally, people who are the victim of love scams are people who are lonely, not satisfied with their family, their career, or they are somewhat, I would say, interesting character people, and they have a little of money. Why I say a little bit interesting character? Because I have seen Ustad being scammed in love scam, Ustazah have been scammed in love scam, which are the married couples, they have professionals, lawyers, doctors, all these high government officers, high public listed companies with directors. So as long as you guys do not simply post, like I said earlier, or try to keep certain things private, you should be safe. And bear in mind, not everything you see online is true when people are chatting with you. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Inspector Clement, for the answer, and also thank you to Dr. Mira for the answer. Thank you also to Ibrahim Adel for the questioning. Alright, so we move to the next question. Alright, so the next question come from Sister Nur Fariza Asminda Zainal. Inspector Clement, can you share with us what are the challenges in cybercrime investigation? So I will pass to Inspector Clement to answer this.
Well, unlike any other crimes, cybercrime is borderless. It may be in Malaysia, it may be in US, it may be in China, it may be around anywhere around the world. So one is the challenges we face is obtaining legal information from companies or other agencies. It's easy for us to gather intelligence. However, intelligence cannot be brought up into court. In terms of court proceeding, it requires a legit official document from a certain companies, for example, a certain log that is certified by certain companies. That is the only among the challenges that we are facing, which is difficult, like in terms of dealing with Facebooks or WeChat. Any other companies that is in Malaysia is easy for us because there's a mutual understanding. It's easier for us, and also it's located in Malaysia. It's easy for us to obtain information. However, if it's related to other companies or platforms that is based elsewhere in the world, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I would say that contribute to the delay of the investigation. Thank you.
Clear. Thank you, Inspector Clement, for the answer, and also thank you to Sister Fariza for the question. So we move to the next question. Alright, so the next question come from again from Sister Shahnunisa Jeffrey. So just now Inspector Clement said to put legitimate antivirus. The thing is I purchased Kaspersky Security for RM20 and the seller said it is original. Do you think so, Inspector, or should I uninstall it?
All right. Okay. I'm not so sure about the 20 ringgit, but I'm very sure in Kaspersky Security does not sell. I mean, Kaspersky Security, if you look into online Kaspersky website, they don't sell 20 ringgit. I don't think that's the price for it. However, maybe they're selling you the student version. I'm not very sure. But nowadays antivirus is very cheap. It could be 60 ringgit if you buy in bundle, like 5 licenses to share among your friends, right? Whether it's now, do you think you should uninstall? Well, again, like me, I tend to change antivirus every 6 months or 1 year. It depends on what is the best in the market. All right. But again, nowadays antivirus, if you have a group of friends, it wouldn't cost that much, because unlike those days when you're running on Windows XP or 98, antivirus is very expensive. But nowadays, I think antivirus is, in other words, dalam berpuluh ringgit, where our PTPN can support, or even our bantuan, it is affordable. But whether question now is, should you uninstall? Now, first thing you have to look at, does this antivirus serve your purpose? Because certain users, that they like antivirus to actually stop pop-ups in their phones or advert. So, or maybe this is on your PC. Is it helping? Is it performing? Do you like it? Because certain antivirus will actually drain your smart device performance. So you have to ask yourself that and consider whether it's whether it's right for you. And of course, there's no perfect antivirus in the market. Every antivirus has the loopholes for certain virus or malware, but it is still better than having none. For my experience, I think Shahrul Niza, aside from the 20 ringgit, you have to check whether that version is a legitimate version or whether it's a pirated version. Third, whether it drains the performance of your smart device, because a good antivirus does not drain much of your smart device. Because most often, pirated antivirus would actually slow down your computer performance, whereby a legitimate one does not. And bear in mind, whenever your computer is infected with malware, it will dramatically drain your RAM, whereby it slows down your performance. That is where you know your computer is, or your smart device has been compromised. What you need to do is just number one, maybe you can back up your device, then you reformat, or delete the old antivirus, get a new one, and do a full scan. Thank you.
Okay, can I also add on that, Adib?
Sure, Doctor.
Okay, sorry, just want to ensure first is on, so thank you, Inspector Clement. I think that sort of covers a lot of aspects, but if I may just add on the first, I think most of the students actually access or buy the antivirus from some e-marketplace where they sell digital products with cheap price and claim to be originals. The fact that those products is not being sold directly by the authorized seller or not by the whichever company, I'm not going to mention the company, but whichever company is selling the antivirus, then you have to be careful, because there's no way for you to really sure whether that's really is genuine. And another one is on the operating systems, which I think you also need to be, you can sort of leverage on most of the operating system. If you are installing the legitimate operating system, they should also have some kind of mechanism built in on antivirus and whatnot. And I can see sometimes we want to procure the expensive antivirus, but we are using what do you call that? A pirated operating systems, and that's also gives some rooms for the hackers to get in, because if it's a legitimate legitimate operating system, if it's a proper one, they should have some of these features embedded already, and they update it regularly. Especially, like, for example, I think if you're using Windows, Windows have regular reminder for you to update. It's the same thing with Mac or with any operating system, basically. I think I shouldn't mention specific operating system, but any operating system that if you use the official one, the proper one, it should have those mechanism where it needs to be updated regularly. And when you receive that pops up, do update, because there's some ways for the operating system to patch the whole things and make sure that you are safe. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira, and also to Inspector Clement for the answer, and thank you to Sister Shanisa Jeffrey for us questioning. We move to the next question. So the question comes from Vera Verto. The question is specifically for to Dr. Mira. Dr. Mira, do you mind sharing any experience in getting scammed?
Oh, nauzubillah min dhalik, God forbid. Nauzubillah min dhalik. But I'm not sure, Inspector Clement, whether I should categorize myself as a paranoid, but I think the fact that I've been doing all this campaign, especially since 2012, I've been doing cyber parenting, I've been doing cyber heroes, then I get a lot of cases shared to me, and I get more cautious in dealing. If you've checked my social medias, I think you hardly see anything related to my birth date and whatnot, because I get more cautious by listening to all these cases. Personally, God forbid, nauzubillah min dhalik, alhamdulillah, so far, I try to put whatever I preach, I do. Well, I try to walk the talk. Okay, so in terms of making sure technically I am put everything in place, as well as socially. I'm more I filtered who can be friends and things like that. I would accept friend requests from the people that I've met, or people that I know, or have interacted through even online, but I know personally. Like maybe later I will friend request Adib and Inspector Clement then. Okay, so that's the. But I have received a lot of people stories of how people have been scammed, and the one that I mentioned just now is the mothers of my friends, the one that lost almost life savings because of this love scam, and another one that recently highlighted to me is the case from a students that they're actually being scammed because of they put the password. I think this is another issues. Okay, so the password is too trivial and too easy for people to guess. So this is another thing that perhaps we should be careful. The fact that you have to change the password regularly is not so much to burden you, but it's actually a way to make sure that you are safe, in the sense that if someone is trying to guess your password, some password is very easy to guess. I think there's one website called vault.com, if I'm mistaken. I can't remember. It's been a while. I haven't been checking my password, but now, because I know the pattern, I hardly check, because I know how password pattern should be. I hardly check how strong is my password. But if you found, I think even Microsoft have that password strength check. Don't check your password, but at least check the pattern of your password. For example, if you are checking using word and numbers, if those word is in dictionary, usually it's very easy for people to actually hack. But I would suggest, instead of word, use a combinations of things. Instead of instead of someone's in your family birthday, use event which is not something that you shared openly in social media. So use random things. Don't use something that is so easy for people to actually guess. So yeah, so there's a lot. Those are among the few. There are many more. Mostly the things that being shared to me, because I did a lot of cyber heroes and cyber parenting, mostly is on cyberbullying, not so much of scam. So things that cases that I usually handled in terms of not so much of legal, but counseling and whatnot, is more to cyberbullying, the impact of cyberbullying, as well as the cyber parenting. I hope that answer your question, Vera. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira, for the answer, and thank you to Vera Verto for the question. So I think we move to the next question. We have another 2 or 3 question left. Right. So the question come from Ibrahim Adel, brother Ibrahim Adel. How can we help our friends who have been scammed online? So I will open to, I think, Inspector Clement to answer this question.
Well, thank you. How can we help our friends who have been scammed online? Number one, we have to see whether our friends is in denial or not. If he himself or he or she himself does not want to help, then how can we as a friend able to help him or her, right? For instance, if he still believe, or I think he lah, I like to use the word he, if he still believe that the person in Facebook that he met, it is still a beautiful woman from Italy or from I don't know, then he's still in denial, because the police requires the victim himself to make the police report. However, a friend can make on behalf, but it does not carry weight. Only the victim, he himself make the police report, will carry weight, because he is the victim. He suffered the losses in terms of bank account, in terms of recording statement. Only the victims can provide all those, not the friend. Um, Another, let me share with you guys another case. I think I've forgotten to mention earlier on. Um, Nowadays, there's this modus operandi, we call it pinjaman tidak wujud, fake loan. A lot of people tends to do loan online from a fake what do you call uh, money lender and establishment. The victim wanted to borrow 500, but at the end of the day, the losses goes up to 10,000. So bear in mind, if you guys want to borrow money, make sure it's from a legitimate money lending establishment. It can be a bank, or it can be a money lender from anywhere, but make sure do it physically, not online, because the risk of getting scammed is very high in online. Dealing with sensitive materials or business, make sure it is done physically, not online. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Inspector Clement for the answer. Dr. Mira, you have, okay. I think we move to the next question. All right. Again, the question come from Sister Shahnisa. I have another few questions. The first one, I keep on hearing that Malaysia have weak cyber security. Is it true though? So I think Inspector Clement can answer well this question.
So I'll go first.
Yes. Inspector Clement.
Generally, I think well, I don't think Malaysia has a weak cybersecurity. We have among the good ones. What we are lacking is the user itself. Our user itself are generally not aware of how technology works, or in terms of cybersecurity. Basically, like I said earlier on, we can have the best defense mechanism, infrastructure in hand. However, if very often hacking occurs is from the carelessness of the user itself, kecuaian pengguna. For instance, we simply plug in a pen drive we simply plug in pen drive to a government institution whereby there's a malware infected internally that allows a backdoor from outside, or we ourselves, we tend to use remote, what do you call the other one? There's another, I can't remember suddenly. There's a tools for us to control another PC from afar. I think it's called I can't remember at the moment. Sorry. So that is also a way of opening up a backdoor for other people to enter the government institution or any business enterprise. So again, I believe we have a very good cybersecurity firewall or infrastructure in hand. It's only that the user is what we are lacking in terms of awareness, and also I would like to use the word ethics, because we can have the best SOPs in hand, we can have everything awesome, but at the end of the day, it still falls down on our character, our attitude. our office hours 8 to 5, but sometimes human is still human. They tends to take in a way, lari dari kerja, sleep in the office, and so whatnot. That is a counter integrity. So again, it's all the characters, ethics, and the awareness. I hand it to you, Doctor.
Okay, yeah. Again, I strongly agreed with Inspector Clement. I think every countries have vulnerabilities. Every countries have prepared some countermeasures, but no matter how much you put into that infrastructure, there's always a weakest link. And just now, like for example, the case that Inspector mentioned about the denial of service. Okay, so when suddenly the service is not available because of the external party controlling the access, and those things mostly happen not necessarily because of the weak infrastructure, but again, people might have carelessly put things not in place. Like I think the case of, like for example, there is a few years ago, there's a case where the more than 500,000 data was actually breached in UK. It's not because of those infrastructure, but because of the staff accidentally brought home the devices full of taxpayers' data, and then he left that in one of the cafes. So as you can see, nothing is about technical here, but again, things happen, and those are the data of taxpayers, which is financial data are there. So in this case, I don't think it should go. I don't think we should put all the burdens on any institutions or any governments specifically. I think it has to be our collective efforts that we have to increase our awareness. We have to increase our responsibility, or the not only the rights but also our obligations to ensure that the system that we are actually using is properly accessed, and making sure the people in our networks are aware of these issues as well. And it's good, I think, that the fact that the team here is starting all these conversations. Usually all these conversations is a bit taboo for some people, but I think the fact that you brought this online, especially where people can access, I think that in a way should reduce our risk of being exposed to all this cybercrime, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you to Inspector Clement and also Dr. Mira for the answer. So I think the second question come from okay. So the next question come from Sister Nurul Ain Farhana. Just now Dr. Mira mentioned about the password. There is a thing comes into my mind. Is it safe to set a same password for all accounts that we have? So I pass to the Dr. Mira.
All right. I don't encourage that. I don't encourage that you are using the same password for all the accounts. You have Facebook, you have whatever social medias, and then you have e-banking, and then you have university's email, and you are using the same password for all. No, that's a basically recipe for disaster, actually. So I would suggest that actually you build a pattern. Okay, you build a pattern. I think all of us are quite creative when it comes to pattern, right? So I think we can come up with a pattern of, for example, for this platform. So, for example, one of the digits or one of the letters in that password for Gmail has this characters, or has this symbol, or has these numbers. So when you build a pattern for all platforms that you have, that would in a way should reduce the risk of things being easily guessed by other people. What I observe from many of our colleagues, or many of our many of the users, is that you can easily guess. Usually the most common one when it comes to password is that there's a bad date of birth in there, be that yours or your children or your spouse or the anniversary date, especially for those who have married. It's too easy for people to guess because those, again, as I said, those dates are basically celebrated online. You celebrated, you announced that. So use the numbers again, which is not easily guessed, and don't use the same password across all platforms. Even so, even better, if you are frequently accessing websites where you have to register with emails, I have separate emails, which is specifically for me to register to, for example, newspapers or things like that, for platforms which it is not official and I have doubt on how they maintain my personal information. I have a separate email specifically on that. So if they want to spam, well, spam my spam email. So I think that would be better as compared to that you have one emails that you use that for every single thing, even registering to the hospital, you use the same emails. I think that that's very dangerous. Okay, so that's from me. Wallahu alam. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira, for the answer, and thank you to Sister Nurul for questioning. So next, I think we move to the next question. The second question from Shahrunisa Jeffrey. How serious cyberbullying in Malaysia? As in Korea, I do see how toxic it is, as then it causes celebrity to feel depressed and being suicide. But how about Malaysia? So I will pass to to Inspector Clement first to answer this question.
Thank you. Cyberbullying in Malaysia, I believe we are not that extreme compared to in Korea, because why in Korea is toxic, especially towards celebrity K-pop. We know they not only stalk on their Facebook or the social media, they actually stalk those celebrity in terms of physically. They can be standing next door out of the window looking at the celebrity while sleeping, so it's a bit dangerous. Unlike Malaysia, I think we are not at that level, or in other words, I think Malaysia we are more mindful. We respect other culture, we respect seniority, we respect our friends. Although many times we see nowadays we tend to write or post certain things to in a way to annoy our friends. All right, but again, I think we ourselves have to start educating our friends, our social bubbles, that if we don't take this seriously now, we will become somewhere like in Korea, because everybody has a limitation or certain threshold. I may be able to accept such threshold, but another people may not be able to accept such criticism or anything, stories about them on Facebook. So again, I think so far Malaysia is still under control in a way. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Clement. Maybe Dr. Mira want to give some opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Inspector Clement. I observe because I've been to Australia, I've been to Indonesia. I mean, like I'm from Indonesia. I've been here in Malaysia for more than 10 years. I observe cases from all these three regions, three countries at least, and some of the other regions, because I also receive cyber parenting requests from other countries, including Korea, actually. And then the culture is different. The culture is different, and then I think so. Asian wise, we still have that. Characteristic of that we have to be mindful with other people's, but because of these other cultures, K-pop cultures, whatever cultures it is, which kind of drive the behaviors towards the extreme cases, those are some of the things that some parents are having hard time to anticipate. So I would believe yes, it is always possible that we as a society might have get take things more lenient because of we don't think that it is serious. But the fact that if you feel cyberbullying is not serious, then it will become serious. Okay, so I think it has to be a proper mindset should be in place, and we as students, as parents, as whoever we are in the society, we have to be aware that it is not it is not a light case which you can take or you can overlook. Some of the I think a few months ago, I have one FGD forum group discussions with some of the youth, especially in high school age, why they don't really report this to the parents or to the institutions is because they don't know that this is actually cyberbullying. So they allow themselves to be bullied because they allow themselves to receive all those harsh comments and whatnot, and eventually end up to the extreme cases of mental health is because of they are not aware this is not okay. So I think this is something that perhaps we should highlight to our brothers, sisters, children. It is a cyberbullying, and they do have rights to make it right. So the more people aware of this, I hope the more civilized we are online. The fact that I think a lot of cases happen these days is because we as a society have been taking it too lightly, and we allow this to happen, and that's sad.
Allow me to echo to that. I think when it comes to cyberbullying, it's a huge context, right? Um, from peer to peer, we call it cyberbullying. But when it regards to nowadays, we see a lot of people, a lot of experts, when certain issue arise, especially politics and religion, we see a lot of people throwing up opinion, whether you like it or not. It could be harsh, it could be soft, it could be, how we say, provocative, right? So my advice is, if there's so many experts online, whether they're legit expert or not, we don't know. It can be another avatar or cyber troopers, right? So I think we have to be, we have to start now that whatever we write online, we have to be mindful, we have to be courteous, or we should be civilized is the right word to use, because a lot of readers, the youngsters or students, at times they are not aware of what they are reading. They may believe that is the right thing, the right facts. However, at those comment box inside written by certain writers or authors are not actually correct. Those facts are given are not actually correct. So instead of we look into it, I think it's high time for us to educate our siblings or our society that we need to be careful when writing, and whatever we write, we have to be civilized. Of course, freedom of speech a person would claim, but it's not, freedom of speech is not ultimate. I think just now there's one question how it's I think to do in terms of regulating or control the the internet space in Malaysia. I think something like that, right? Imagine if the country would have taken a very drastic measure to control our Malaysia cyberspace. I don't think everybody will likes it, but at the same time, it keeps everyone safe. However, when a certain restriction has been reduced, it gives a certain freedom. I think that is all this will comes up. I think we have what we need to do now is be civilized and try to balance off it at how we writes in terms of how we regulates. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Clement, and also to Dr. Mira for the answer. And I think we move to the last question from the participant for today webinar. So the questions
Hello, Adib, are you there?
Okay, I think maybe I do have internet connections issues.
All right. Let me be the moderator for today, MC.
Okay, great.
A question for Farah Saman. I have a question, maybe a little bit not related to the topic, but what is your comment regarding Make School a Safer Place, which is trending now? It's about sexual harassment at school, some true document. So, Doctor, would you enough to take this question for today? Then I'll echo later.
I feel being interrogated now.
No.
Yeah. No, yeah, unfortunately, it's also another case that quite happened quite rampant recently, not only in Malaysia but also in Asian countries, that people have used online platform for online prostitutions and whatnot. God forbid, but yes, that's actually happening these days. And when it comes to, again, when it comes to be that physical sexual harassment or sexual harassment online, all these kind of things, back to the notions of how we and society understood what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. What I meant by that is that often when we are interacting online, we didn't think that again, just now, like I'm just making jokes about uh, personal, I mean, like I'm just making jokes about the weight, for example, about the certain skin colors and things. It's just a joke. Everybody say that. Just because everybody said that, that doesn't mean it is the right thing to do. So especially when it comes to all other things, and this not necessarily, again, this is not necessarily that it has to be physical. Online sexual harassment is also possible. You post someone else's parts of the body and make fun of it, it can be classified as a sexual harassment. So again, I'm not sure what is the kind of what is the directions of the answer that you want here, but yes, the fact that it is trending, the fact that everybody aware is more people aware is a good sign. When the issues is being raised, it's a good sign. Means that people felt it is not right. When the more people highlight this, the better, I think, because when we try to swipe things under the carpet and then just pretend that everything's all right, suddenly there's some big cases here and there. All those issues, all those cases would have been preventable if we are actually try to prevent it with having all this kind of campaign. So yeah, I think all this needs to be put in place, and don't act alone. The most important thing, don't act alone. Engage NGOs, engage law enforcement. I'm very sure even last time, usually I also work together with CSM. I attend some of the campaign and I help them to facilitate. I facilitated some of the sessions, and the same thing. People have put effort in place, but the more silos we are, the more redundant effort will be put, and then it will not be effective. But the more we are engaged, the more we are working, collaborating together, the more profound the impact will be. So I think, yeah, we have to don't act alone. We have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Maybe Inspector Clement want to add something regarding this question?
Well, a lot back in my days, I think Dr. days, we don't have handphone in our schools. We are not allowed to. If we were allowed to, if we somehow smuggle the phone in, we'll be in big trouble. So okay, come. Having digital device nowadays, it opens up our mind, our eyes, our ears. Certain things that have been kept under the carpet, it now starts to surface. I think sexual harassment in school is not a new thing. It has been going on maybe at certain places we don't know, but thanks to internet or smart device, somehow this issue has been raised. Again, now I'm talking in general, I'm not specifically into any cases now. So it's sad to see a sexual harassment begin at school or take place in school where children are at most very innocent, that they are in a way, I would like to say, they are the future of tomorrow, and Alhamdulillah, they are the one that I consider them are the most suci, because it's how we create them. They learn, they see from what we do, correct? So again, if any of you guys or friends suffered through a sexual harassment at school or institution, please make a police report, dare to stand up. All right, many times the perpetrator take this as an advantage to blackmail you to do something that you're not supposed to, for them to gain an advantage. Please stand up, bring your best friend along or your parents along, talk to them, and make a police report. All right, because sexual harassment is not a thing that in our culture or in Malaysia we accept. This is a thing that we do not accept at all. Again, from a sexual harassment at school, it will begin, and later on, it will snowball to something else that we do not want other people to suffer. I think that's all for me from my side.
Thank you, Inspector Clement, and also to Dr. Mira for.
Sorry, Adib.
Okay.
I just want to again echo to Inspector just now on the point of that it has to be raised. I want to again stress on that because I know when it comes to sexual harassment, usually the victim are very reluctant to report. And the fact that actually you don't report, think about the possibilities. The same thing happens to other people because you allow that to happen by being silent. So if you feel that you are being harassed and then you prefer to make sure that you just want to forget, you cannot forgive but you want to forget, that may not be a good ideas because the possibilities of that happen to other people is higher because of you allowing that to happen. So take someone, I agree, take someone that you really can trust with you to police stations or to any other channels that you think you might get help, but seek for help. Try to find help. Don't stay alone, especially don't put this inside you and then put it over the years and suddenly you realize it actually shaped you into a person that you are not, and that's something that I'm really worried actually. Okay, so share and then try to get someone that you can trust, bring that to a proper channel so this can be addressed properly. Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Mira and also to Inspector Clement for the answer, and also thank you to Sister Farah for the question. I think we have reached to the end of this webinar session. So again, thank you to Inspector and also Inspector Clement and also to Dr. Mira for an enlightening and entertaining sharing about cybercrime. So there are a lot of inputs that we can get from the sharing from both our panels. We will try to apply all the knowledge and input that we get from the sharing in our daily life in order to prevent ourselves from be a victim for cybercrime in the future, inshallah. So I think before we end this session, I open to the speakers to give the last word. So I pass to Dr. Mira first.
Okay. Ladies first. Okay. All right. My last word is related to our moment now, Ramadan. Actually, it gives us a lot of room for to reflect as a users, to reflect as a part of the society. Is that there are so many things that that needs to be done, needs to be corrected, needs to be improved. But without you taking the first steps, those things might still just a dream. To materialize the dream, take the first steps, whichever steps that is easier for you to take. Perhaps by reading some articles to improve how you should behave online, perhaps by posting some campaign to make sure people are more aware of how the cyber society, the people have to interact in the cyber world. Take the first steps, whatever it is, take the first steps because those dreams can only be achieved if you take that first step. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mira. So I pass to Inspector Clement for last
Well,
word.
to conclude for today, I think internet or cyberspace or the cyber world, it's here to stay. It's definitely. So we have to learn, like what doctor says, to read about it. What is cyberspace? How to be safe? How to protect ourselves? And very often, we we release our anger at the wrong place, whereby we write on a different wall or somebody's wall or comment, which is not supposed to do. If you guys would have want to release or certain views or whatsoever, I think it would be great to host a certain forum at the proper channel with certain NGOs or government institution. Maybe you guys can work out together to how to make things better or to improve the society in Malaysia. Nevertheless, when it comes to scam, be careful. Number one, don't act on it first. Do check, verify the source with your friends, the police, or with our website, right? Do not panic because police never transfer your call, will never ask for your money, including LSD and so on, whatnot. If there's anything, once you check, verify, go to the police station, all right? Whether you want to make police report also or not. In terms of, I can't stop you guys from adding anyone in Facebook or chatting, right? But be careful. All I can say is be careful because you don't know whoever. It may be a very handsome man picture at a Facebook account, right? But in fact, behind is actually a different person. So at the end of the day, be careful. And there's no free dinner on the table. So any investment is too good to be true. Be careful. Lastly, take care and salam Ramadan. Thank you.
All right, thank you to our panels for the last word, to Dr. Mira and also to the Inspector Clement. So we are really appreciate it. So before we end this forum, I would like to share one quote from Kevin Mitnick, which is, you can never protect yourself 100%, but what you can do is to protect yourself as much as possible and mitigate risk to an acceptable degree. So you can never remove all this. So again, a lot of thanks to Inspector Clement and also to Dr. Mira for joining us for today's session. So insyaAllah, if sekiranya ada masa, di lain waktu kita akan berjumpa lagi. If bukan online, maybe secara face to face, insyaAllah. So I would like to apologize if there have any inconvenience that occurred during our discussion today. And also I would like to thanks for all of you that have participated in this forum. So with that, wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and stay safe. Salam Ramadan, and I will pass the mic to Master of Ceremony, Sister Nadia.
Thank you, Brother Adib Hakimi, Associate Professor Dr. Mira Kartiwi, and also Inspector Clement Loh Wei Man for the fruitful session just now. We hope that the participants can use the knowledge to prepare themselves better in the future. And a friendly reminder to all participants, please be informed to fill in the attendance form and also the evaluation form given in the comment section. We appreciate your help in evaluating this program. On behalf of the organizing committee, we apologize for any shortcomings throughout the program. Now, I would like to pass the floor to the PAPRO committee to lead the photography session. PAPRO, are you ready? Right, if everyone is ready, let's look on the camera. 1, 2, 3. All right, I think it's done. Thank you so much. Thank you again to our speaker and also the participants.
Okay, thank you, Inspector Clement, and thank you, teams. Nice to meet all of you today. Eid Mubarak soon. Ramadan Mubarak. Take care. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Dr. Mira Kartiwi and Inspector Clement for their amazing sharing just now. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now, let's begin the closing ceremony. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Welcome to the closing ceremony of GEEKY TECHIE Month. Are you aware enough? I am Nadia Nurshifa binti Muhammad Nizam, a second year student from Kuliyyah of Allied Health Science, your Master of Ceremony for today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we will now sing together our national anthem, Negaraku, IIUM song, Leading the Way, and recite Asma'ul Husna. To gain blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let us commence. We proceed with the national anthem first.
Let's lead the way, lighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, we shall excel, shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of Ramadan al-Amin. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IIUM is to realize the meaning of mercy to all worlds, for mankind. نسألك يا من هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر الغفار القهار الوهاب الرزاق الفتاح العليم القابض الباسط الخافض الرافع المعز المذل السميع البصير الحكم اللطيف الخبير العليم العظيم الغفور الشكور العلي الكبير الحفيظ المقيم الحسيب الجليل الكريم الرقيب المجيب الواسع الحكيم الودود المجيد الباعث الشهيد الحق الوكيل القوي المتين الولي الحميد المحسن المبدع المعين المحيي المميت الحي القيوم الواجد الماجد الواحد الصمد القادر المقتدر المقدم المؤخر الأول الآخر الظاهر الباطن الوالي المتعالي البر التواب المنتقم العفو رؤوف مالك الملك ذو الجلال والإكرام المقسط الجامع الغني المغني المانع الضار النافع النور الهادي البديع الباقي الوارث الرشيد الصبور الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير اللهم صل أفضل الصلاة على أسعد المخلوقات كسيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم عدد معلوماتك ومداد كلماتك كلما ذكرك ذاكرون وغفل عن ذكره الغافلون.
Ladies and gentlemen, to gain blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let us commence this ceremony with the recitation of dua by Brother Muhammad Amirul Akmal bin Muhammad Nizam. Please welcome.
إلى الله المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله الكرام الفاتحة. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا ولوالدينا وارحمهم كما ربنا صغارا والجميع المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. اللهم أحينا بالإيمان وأمتنا بالإيمان وأشرنا بالإيمان وادخلنا الجنة مع علما بغير حساب. يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك. يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر ومن عذاب جهنم ومن فتنة المحيا والممات ومن شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin Amin Ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you, Brother Amirul. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, GEEKY TECHIE Month Are You Aware Enough is a one-month program conducted by the Media and Publication Bureau of Mahallah Fatimah Az-Zahra Representative Committee 2020-2021. With the theme Into the Unknown, the program is held to highlight the technology world as a medium to nourish awareness on how cybercrime could infer one's life as well as a platform to shine creativity. Although technology is often seen as a potential destructive platform to users. There are 4 sub-programs, #Beware, which include Cybercrime Webinar, Videography and also Photography Workshop, #Let Us Shine Video Contest, and also #Into the Unknown Photo Contest. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite our advisor for this program, Sister Umi Kalsum binti Muhammad Hanafi, to give her welcoming speech. Please welcome. I'm sorry, Sister Umi, we can't hear you. The audio is still not working.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sister Nadia. Our MC for today program. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good morning to all our committees and also the participants of the program. Okay, first of all, Alhamdulillah, we have been given a chance to be together this morning to attend the closing ceremony of GEEKY TECHIE month. Are you aware enough? Okay, by the Media and Publication Bureau of our beloved Mahallah Fatimah Az-Zahra Representative Committee. Okay, so it has been 3 weeks since we started the program on 10 April. Is it? Okay, and if I may recall, we have 4 sub-programs which are the photography and the videography workshops, #Into the Unknown Photography Contest, #Let Us Shine Videography Contest, and last but not least, #Beware Cybercrime Webinar that has been just wrapped up just now, right? Okay, so I do hope the objective of this program, which is to instill awareness among the students regarding the vulnerability of personal data, and also to enhance students' creativity skill and in designing photos and videos are achieved, inshallah. So, as the advisor of the program, I would like to thank to all our committees that have been working so hard to make this program a reality. Okay, it's not easy, but it surely. So I would like also to extend my gratitude to all the participants, of course, that have been supporting and joining our sub program from the beginning until today. So without your support, I think this program may not be as successful as it is right now. So I would like to use this opportunity to express my congratulations to the winners of the contest that will be announced after this. Being one of the judges, I am so happy to see all the output from the participants. So may all of you gain the benefits from this program. So with that being said, I officially announce that this program closes its sentence. So wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sister, for your words of wisdom. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, here comes the moment where we have been waiting for, which is the announcement for the winner of #Let Us Shine video contest and also #Into the Unknown photo contest. Without further ado, let's watch the multimedia presentation of the winner for both contests. Congratulations to all winners. With the end of the announcement just now, it marks the end of our ceremony for today. Thank you to all participants for joining us throughout this program. We hope the participants can benefit from this program. But before we end, can we have a photography session for KIPS? Sister Umi, are you ready? Right, 1, 2, 3. All right. On behalf of the organizing committee, we apologize for any shortcomings throughout the program. Please be informed to fill in the evaluation form given in the comment section, and we appreciate your help in evaluating this program. By the grace of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, let us end this event with the recitation of Surah Al-As and Tasbih Kafarah. Thank you for your support and cooperation. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.